What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. So for longevity, is it healthier to train like a bodybuilder or train like an athlete? So the first thing we need to do is realize what is the best way to train for longevity, right? Like what decreases your risk of morbidity or your risk of not being alive anymore? So we go into different things, right? We know that cardiovascular fitness is very important, but we also know from recent data that strength is just as important in predicting morbidity risk. So they test grip strength, and the higher the grip strength, the lower the morbidity risk. And some even say that that's more important than cardiovascular. So what are other things you look at? Well, balance, right? Because a lot of old people, they fall, break hips. After you break a hip, that's pretty much a life sentence. Like you're going to have trouble living much longer if you break a hip and you're in that elderly range. So balance is important. VO2 max, which is sprint capacity, cardiovascular capacity is important. You got strength, you got all these different things leading to morbidity risk. So longevity, when I think longevity, I don't think about quantity of how long you will live. I think about the quality of your life, no matter what age you live to. With that being said, we need to combine the two when we think about longevity. So if I'm looking at how to increase muscle mass, how to increase strength, training like a bodybuilder is awesome, right? You're progressively overloading, you're trying to build muscle, which generally means you're building up the weights or the load used in the exercises you're doing. That's awesome. But then you look at the other things like VO2 max. Bodybuilding sucks for VO2 max. That's why you need to throw in things like sprints. Maybe I just bought an air bike, one of those Rogue air bikes. Maybe do that, do some Tabata on that. That's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 rounds, 4 total minutes, but it will crush you. The lactic acid buildup is unlike anything you've ever felt before. So let's say you throw in some Tabata. Obviously, we know that zone 2 cardio is very good for your health, for your longevity, for your decreasing your risk of morbidity. Throw in some zone 2 cardio. What do you do for balance? Well, if you're a bodybuilder, pretty simple. Unilateral movements, right? Things like rear leg elevated split squats, things like split squats, single leg RDLs. We could do that all within bodybuilding, but we need to add in that cardiovascular thing. So you're looking at mobility, you're looking at how your joints feel, how you move. If you're able to step off a curb, if you're able to just move around, be mobile, right? Like think about when I box, just moving, boom, boom, things like that. That will increase your quality of life. That will increase everything. Simply getting off the couch, I'm assuming when you get older, it gets really hard if you're not in shape. So that's where you throw in the athletic movements, right? You throw in the field work. Maybe you do some drills. Maybe you do an old school football shuttle drill once in a while. Maybe you're doing mini band work. Maybe you're doing mini hurdle work, hopping over with one leg, things like that. Maybe you're doing two-inch runs, right? Where your hands are going slow, your feet are going fast. So what am I saying here? I'm all over the place, man. I'm spewing ADHD all over your screen. So the answer is a little of each. Let's talk about pre-workouts. See, a lot of them just get you spiked and then you crash. The crash is crazy. When I take a pre-workout, I don't want my heart beating out of my chest. I can't do a set to failure with that. No, I want something that gets me focused. I want my mind to just go, I'm gonna get all the weight. I want my body to feel like I can go crush it, make the gains of my life. That's why the pre-workout I use is Ambrosia Kinetic. Ambrosia Kinetic is the greatest mushroom-enhanced mind and body performance booster pre-workout ever created. Go to TigerFitness.com now. That's TigerFitness.com. Coupon code MAHA, M-A-H-A, MAHA. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And you get 10% off, not just Kinetic, but the entire site. Go to TigerFitness.com now, save and make the gains you've been wanting. So athletic training, if you're training for athletics, it also includes some bodybuilding type training. Because when you're training, or at least the way we train athletes at Legacy, is we undulate, which means that we combine different phases within one phase, maybe even one workout, maybe even a day, maybe a week, maybe a month, depending on how we're programming it for what athlete, what time of the year. So you might do a power phase, you might do a strength phase, you might do a hypertrophy phase. So if you notice, a lot of these athletes in college, really muscular. And that's because we've come a long way in strength training. You know, guys like Tommy Moffitt, who brought LSU to the top, good friend of mine. Guys like Coach Sobol over at SDSU, doing some great things. But within their programming, they're not just developing the explosive power, the strength, but we also know that the more muscle mass you have, the more contractile fibers you have to produce more strength, to produce more power, to produce more force. Because mass times acceleration equals force. And we have different lifts that aid in that. So not only are we working the explosive movements, right? I'm not a big fan of Olympic lifts. Some coaches are. I'm good with that. It's just not my thing, not my piece, not my choice. So I'll do explosive movements, right? Like you do, let's think power shrugs, poof, just explosive. You do quadruple extension hex bar deadlifts. Maybe you're doing some speed squat with bands. There's a lot of ways we can elicit that response within the body. So athletes do train like bodybuilders in a periodized fashion. So what I'm getting at is all of it. Bodybuilding training can lead to a longer life, better longevity, better movement. Well, it's functional strength. Function. You're telling me that lifting something isn't functional? Like define functional. Like, oh, well, it's a clean. Okay, when are you moving furniture and you're cleaning it up? Never. You don't do that. No, you're just picking up you're walking with furniture. It's not a big deal. That's not functional either. Like power cleans are not functional. They're specific to Olympic lifts. It's specific to what you're doing. I can argue that football players should never do Olympic lifts. I can also argue that they should do Olympic lifts. Again, there's more than one way to skin the cat. Don't know who came up with that phrase. Why are you skinning a cat? Like, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Am I allowed to say that without being political? It's just a joke. So the bottom line is bodybuilding should be a part of a longevity training regimen. So you should be doing your lifts that increase muscle mass, increase strength, and that'll help you live longer. It's not going to guarantee you live longer, but it will tip the odds in your favor. Cardiovascular, balance. Balance can be covered a little by that. So can cardio, but not enough, right? So many different things. VO2 max, bodybuilding covers none of that. So what I'm saying is it's a combination. Because athletes also train like bodybuilders. So I get this question a lot, bodybuilding is not good for longevity. Actually, the data says you're wrong, says I'm right. But I'm not picking one side. Athletes, so technically, since athletes do incorporate bodybuilding training, if I was going to pick an answer, it's train like an athlete, where you're including the hypertrophy training, you're including the strength training, you're including the power training, you're including the VO2 max, you're including the balance, you're including all these different things, you're including the mobility. And that's when you become a healthier, more productive person. And you could crush life. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to go to tigerfitness.com. Support us. Coupon code MAHA through the end of the week. That's MAHA. M-A-H-A gets you 10% off the entire site, including Creapure Creatine, which everyone should take, from kids to adults to the elderly, because of its benefits in not only preventing muscle mass loss and producing muscle gain, or helping promote muscle gain, but also its cognitive ability to help prevent things like Alzheimer's and dementia, right? So you want to take creatine, get Creapure Creatine from tigerfitness.com, coupon code MAHA for 10% off. Anyway, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click on notification bell, comment down below. What do you think about what I said? Do you agree, disagree? Do you hate me? Do you love me? Whatever it is, I can take it. And I read all the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Marc Lobliner, because growing old and still being able to bang, that's not a game.